Welcome back, everyone, to San Francisco. I have an interview here with John. Do you just go by John, or do you have an internet name, or do you want to use your last name, or
Internet name. Yeah,
yeah?
well, John in real life and on the internet, I usually go by Cirrus. So,
Okay, yeah, I'm
yeah.
with John, and so John won regionals here up here in the Bay Area in San Rafael on Saturday, and I wanted to do a quick interview with him and see what decks he was running and just that whole kind of thing. So first, do you want to introduce yourself some more? Where do you usually game and that type of thing?
Well, I live down in LA, kind of outside of LA in Ventura County. So we don't have too many events out here that don't require driving like an hour into LA to the more populated area. We have a local comic shop called Hypno that does some cool events, and they actually had a really good store championship earlier this year that brought in a lot of players from around LA, and that was a lot of fun. But other than that, it's mostly just gaming with my friend Kyle, my friend that I recruited. So it's like a two-person meta. It's super competitive.
Did Kyle come with you to up?
Yeah,
Okay.
he was the guy that drove up with me. So
And how did he end up doing?
he says he did about as good as he thought he would do, which was near the top of the middle, but not quite the top.
Okay.
So
And so how long have you been playing Netrunner?
I mean, I bought the box set when it came out because I love board games, and I remembered Netrunner back from playing Magic and it being Magic #2 by Richard Garfield or whatever. But I only played with the core set for a little bit when I first got it, and then it kind of just sat on the shelf. And then I think a little before Plugged In Tour, I had kind of started getting into it. I had bought a couple of data packs, and so the Plugged In Tour last year was like my first big tournament event thing, and that was awesome. And after that, I was totally hooked.
Oh wow, so you're relatively new to the game, I guess. Yeah, that's great to hear. So do you play any other card games like this? Any other competitive games specifically?
No, I mean I played Magic a long time ago, but I don't have time for anything more than one game to be obsessed with. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what that's like, and it doesn't help when you start making videos and stuff for the game that you're obsessed with.
And
Um,
I have to spend all my time watching all your videos. So I really want to get into X-Wing miniatures. I really do, but the time and the money is, maybe
yeah,
when I
not quite
when I
there.
when I'm secondarily retired.
Right. So, let's talk about the actual regionals. So, did you drive up that day or the day before?
We drove up on Friday and stayed like a travel lodge just a little bit down the road, and went out to I think Kebabacue or something and had some dinner, and then we stayed up Friday night playing just games. Just I don't know why we're playing games right before the regionals, but for whatever reason, and Kyle kept just demolishing my corp deck, making me just like I'm going to do so terrible the
Were
next
you
day.
were you having doubts where you wanted to
Yeah, oh,
change things?
definitely. Yeah, his game was just picking me apart. And then like the last couple games, it was going a little better, which gave me hope. But still, I was not super confident going into Saturday. And then we drove down in the morning, and I had breakfast right down the street at a little diner, and I couldn't eat because I was so nervous, practically. And then it was go time. So
Okay. So I do want to ask about your decks, but first of all, do you play in tournaments regularly down there in Los Angeles?
I have been a lot this year. I did I think 3 of the store championships we had, and a couple season 1 events, and we just had a season 2 event over in LA like the weekend before. I went to that for practice, so I've been doing it a lot more lately.
Okay, good. So what decks did you bring up to regionals?
I straight up just stole Steve Woolley's NBN Scorch mid-seasons deck that he just kicked so much butt with, because I had never really played NBN before. I actually spent most of the store champ in season 1 season playing actually Jinteki Replicating Perfection and mostly Reina. And I liked those. I thought Jinteki RP was good before Honor and Profit came out, and Dan in Philadelphia proved that it's obviously tier 1 now by stomping everyone with it. And I thought that it would be great to take, and I was pretty comfortable with it, so I figured I'd do well, but I was concerned about going to time because I had a couple matches go to time when you have a long deck like that. And so I kind of wanted to learn NBN anyway, and so I switched over to something that I could try to pick up quick.
Okay. Um, and what runner did you use?
I used a prepaid Kate deck, actually. Nordrunner, made Redcoats popular, and I was playing with his Redcoats deck in one of the store champs, and it did surprisingly well. And then I was talking to him about runners, and he recommended that I try out that prepaid Kate deck that I think Lysander had started talking about, and it had been talked about a lot on StimHack. And I took a version. I think I started with just Spag's straight up list of it, and I played with it for a while to learn Shaper, because like I said, I had mostly just played Reina, before that Noise, and Jinteki for the longest time. So I was just trying to branch out and learn some other archetypes, basically. And I played a lot with that deck, and for some reason, I made a bunch of kind of ridiculous changes. Like literally the week before regionals, I put in Kraken, actually. And I don't know what compelled me to do that. I mean, I do know what compelled me to do that. But like, I had just won like I said, I just won a season 2 down in San Gabriel, LA area, against, there was probably 15 to 20 people there, some good players that came up. I think, Ben was there. He, I think, made the cut up in San Francisco. So, there were some good people at that tournament, and the prepaid Kate did great in that tournament. So I don't know why I was changing it at the last minute, but I made some very, just frankly, ridiculous choices that ended up actually working out just fine. So
the Kraken specifically ended up becoming a little, I guess, meme at the event.
Yeah, it kind of did.
Every time you played that Kraken, we'd have Eric, the judge at the event, just doing the Kraken dance all through the store. And maybe at this point in the video, I'll even insert a little bit of the Kraken dance, so viewers at home can see. We'll see how that goes. But so I do want to talk about Kraken some more. But first I want to address something. You said you stole Stephen Woolley's deck. I think that his deck was open sourced, and you leveraged the open source software that was his deck to win regionals.
Yes, you certainly could put it that way. I actually emailed Stephen. And talked to him a little bit about the deck, about how to play it, about some of his thoughts, that he put into it when he was testing it, why, Corporate Shuffle, did it pull its weight, those kind of things. And I had seen, the videos of him and Sasha playing. I had seen, my friend lives in Colorado, was at the, Colorado tournament in the Springs that he played it at there too. So, I was very familiar with the deck from that stuff. And I liked how, I don't know, good it is at just sometimes straight up winning you games without you doing anything. And I thought to myself, if I'm going to get lucky and have to play Netrunner for 12 hours, I want a deck that will just win for me sometimes. I don't have to think about it, versus RP where I really have to think about every play. And if I'm going to be really tired, I'm going to struggle doing that. So.
Right. I think that's an interesting aspect of this style. Like, I play a lot of tournaments, host a lot of tournaments. They're like 4 rounds, and that type of tournament, you bring a bottle of water, maybe a granola bar, and you're set. You're just playing some Netrunner. It's casual. But an event like this, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? The old saying. You want to go into detail a little bit of what your corp deck actually was? Like, what was you don't need to list every card, but what was the idea, I guess?
It is a card-for-card Stephen Woolley's deck, which basically is your straight-up NBN fast advance with Beal, Breaking News, Astroscript, and Sans. Really cheap and the run ice mostly, but it also packs 3 Scorches and 3 mid-seasons. So the idea, and it has NAPDs as well, the idea is that the deck can win through Fast Advance, the deck can win through Psycho Beal, or the deck can win through Flatline Scorch, which gives you a lot of powerful options to take the game, kind of whichever way your cards are sending you.
So we're used to the kind of 2 win methods with the old Wayland Supermodernism, but now you're bringing it up to 3. So it uses Scorched Earth instead of Biotic Labor, I suppose, is kind of the switcher, and obviously the mid-season is not too usual in a pure NBN Fast Advance, so it's kind of a hybrid build. And so what, in terms of wins, do you think that it was like an even split in the different styles of wins, or what do you?
Well, I mean, I can sum up how Steve's deck did for me in the Swiss rounds, basically by saying I lost to the Professor. So
what does that mean?
So Vince came up all the way actually from San Diego, and he has a podcast, I think San South, and he was talking in his latest episode about that he was going to bring Stronger Together and the Professor to the regionals. Some interesting choices, and I ended up getting paired up with him after I got kicked down from the higher up tables by was it David maybe that 2-0'd me? I don't know. And so we played, and his Professor deck I don't know.
Was there anything in particular about the Professor deck that got you, or was it just kind of the way the game went?
No, I really struggled with the Corp deck throughout the Swiss. It was the weak spot. My Kate deck, it mostly delivered. I did get agenda flooded a couple games, here and there, and I just made some questionable calls because, it definitely takes skill to pilot any deck, and I had been playing with it for a while, but I'm, not a master like maybe Steve is or someone. And so I remember in that professor game, I had, he's the professor, and he drops out his personal workshop and throws down Opus. And so I'm like, well, there goes mid-seasons probably. I had like one window to land it, and I think I put out an NAPD and a Sansane in like the same server or something. And he came in, and he actually left the, I think he had seen mid-seasons out of R&D or something. And so he left the NAPD out and trashed the Sansane.
That's a really
So
funny
I
play.
tried to kind of get him to take it, and he wouldn't bite. So then I think he like took 8 3 turns in a row or something, and that's basically good game for my deck. Like there's no coming back from that, right? So I scored maybe an Astro here or there, and it got but it was over.
Well, I would think the balance to that. I mean, maybe you just didn't have the cards. Is if they are sitting back, magnum opusing.
I was digging hard for an agenda.
Sure.
I scored an Astro somewhere. I mean, because the deck can't keep a shaper out, especially with money. And he had put a keyhole down 2 on his workshop, so I was like kind of worried about R&D. I think I made one misplay in that game. Besides trying to lure him to hit the NAPD, if I'd had an option, I could have tried to lure him with like an Astro to guarantee. Because being able to decline that NAPD, a smart runner, a savvy runner doing that, I think is sometimes the right choice to make. So if you put down like a Beal or an Astro, which hurts more to lose, but to land the mid seasons is probably worth it. There was a turn where I think I had a breaking news and a Jackson, and I should have probably installed the breaking news instead of the Jackson, because he didn't run either one, and I could have scored the breaking news and killed his Proco, or maybe even like I don't know how many cards he had in hand. I might have been able to land a Scorch. So I probably should go for the more aggressive play of trying to score the breaking news off the table, but I didn't, and he stole it the next turn anyway, so I didn't have the option anymore. So that was probably the only thing I probably could have done better if I remember the cards correctly.
Sure. And so the Kate deck, you said there were some interesting cards in there. First of all, I'd like to talk about Kraken. This is hold on one second. This is a little bit awkward, but I have to turn on the light in this room because my camera is way too dark. So just hold on one second. I'll probably cut this from the video.
Oh, you see, editing and post. Now you have a lot more work to do.
All right, I'm back. That's way better. It's starting to get very spooky in here. Okay, yeah. So talking about Kraken, that's the type of card that I think people generally view as a bad card, as not being good for competitive decks, probably because it's situational, it's a little expensive. So what led you to including Kraken, and why do you think it worked so well for you? Did it work so well for you?
It did work pretty well. The Kate deck I was running started off was a Parasite Atman prepaid deck, I think, which is what Spags had been working on, and I made some weird changes at the end. Like I said, I actually cut out the only Fem and one of the Parasites and threw in a Keyhole, and so the Breaker Suite ended up basically consisting of 2 Atmans, an Inti, a Deus Ex, and then Data Sucker Parasite. And so that's pretty gutsy to go with, because when you can't Fem a Toll Booth, you can't Fem your way into a like you I think you give up a lot in Shaper when you take away that test run Fem play. But I was just going all in basically on Dice Destruction, and I was playing it super aggressive, build up Data Suckers, Parasite, whatever is in my way, and the ability to Corps don't really see that coming when you're already. I think Kraken's weak when you have to wait to play it when you steal an agenda, and then you have to pick a server and they pick the ice. Can really make it not usually a very good option. But when you're already blowing up ice left and right, and they're trying hard to be able to lock you out of somewhere because they don't want you to have Data Suckers, being able to play Kraken, or even same old thing at Kraken, and your Kate with 3 prepaids, it's practically free. It really sometimes gives you that extra oomph when it's that battle back and forth to keep the pressure on that just won me a number of games, because they got that one ice left on R&D that they've been able to slap out, and then you snipe that agenda and you same old thing at Kraken, and R&D is wide open again, and it was pretty strong.
That's an interesting point you make about prepaid and Kraken. Like, prepaid is very good card with Kate. There's not always an event that you have in hand to play off of it, so Kraken is another option, and especially another option with same old thing as well. which you often don't want to use on economic events because it's less efficient. So what other kind of cards did you have in that deck? I mean, so it's probably 3 Parasites. Did you have 2 or 3 Kraken?
It has only 1 Parasite, and
One
it has
Parasite. Okay.
it has 1 Kraken, because I tried it actually with more Krakens, and that's a bad idea.
Okay.
That deck ends up, you just draw so fast and furious. It's 3 diesels, 3 quality. No, actually only 2 quality times now. But you want to chew through it as fast as you can to get to your events that give you money, to get to important things you need, like maybe to see your legwork or whatever you're trying to get to. But it uses 3 clone chips obviously to just recur Parasite, and has 2 Atmans, 2 Data Suckers, and that actually I said threw in that keyhole because that also goes well with Kraken when you can pitch in an agenda into archives, and then you have time to go back and get it earlier in the turn, and then use Kraken either out of hand or same old thing again. So, and Keyhole is obviously just a great card anyway. So
So it's basically Kraken on demand with the keyhole.
that's an interesting couple. I didn't get to use that part of it as much as I like. I surprisingly got to play it just with same old thing a decent amount of times, or not even out of hand sometimes as well. So I was really surprised at how well it actually worked. I probably should have got my butt handed to me, but no, that Kate deck delivered that day.
Well, no, that Kraken, we're joking about it, whatever, and it is a situational card, but you have 1 in your deck, and I mean, that's the hard part about it. Maybe it's like I guess you could overdraw. Did you tend to play it first, or did you tend to just overdraw and then same old thing?
A lot of times it would just go right to the heat because I knew I could just play it with same old thing if I had to. And you draw through so many cards in that deck that same old thing is great also for test run. Once you've used that to get another Parasite back, and then it can be used, like you said, for money. But usually it's either Kraken, test run, or legwork that same old thing is going to do for you.
And did this deck have Levy at all, or is it just?
Yeah, I had one Levy, and I hardly levied at all during the regionals. I think it's partly against Jinteki you want to have it for those House of Knives builds that just bleed you out of cards. Even with Deus Ex, you're losing a ton of cards, so it's important for that matchup. But it's also important because you do tend to draw really aggressively, and if you enter into a longer taxing game, you need to be able to recur your event economy to keep up, because there's no caddy, there's no opus, nothing like that. So
right. So it's mostly Data Suckers giving you that efficiency.
It's 2 Data Suckers and kill every piece of ice that gets rezzed, right?
If there's no ice, you don't need money.
It's a tricky dance because a savvy corp can let you in for a little bit, get enough money and enough ice, and where they can try to purge and shut you out. So being smart with what you set your 2 Atmans at when you play them, and like I said, just really putting the pressure on, forcing them to res. Indexing is obviously a key card, right?
Was that a 3 of?
I only worked 2, and I would like to have 3. I mean, it straight up wins you games. One of the Swiss rounds, when I had to win out to get up to the cut, I think I was on an HB ETF deck, and his start was something like Ice, HQ, hedge fund, install a remote, or something like that. And that's a count siphon win me a game because people are afraid of Kate, siphoning them turn 1. And I just first turn indexed, gambling that wasn't a Jackson, and I got 6 points off it. So, 3 agendas, right? That's a tough game to come back from. And so sometimes you just make that play because you feel like that's the play to make. And, that's how Kate was doing for me on Saturday.
Yeah, I think she just kind of gives you, especially that sort of build, gives you a lot of flexibility. Which is what I really like about a lot of criminal builds too. So I like that Shaper definitely is able to do that as well. So how do you feel about winning regionals? I mean, this is it's kind of a big deal. Netrunner is growing; it's becoming a big game, and there's even fewer regionals this year than last year. Is that I don't know? Has that affected you in any way, or? Do people view you differently now? Are you like a feared guy down in your meta?
I'm like some guy. Kyle is like, I have to play against the champion in California. Blah blah blah. So,
right.
Yeah. But it's funny. It's kind of like not even really doesn't really sink in because I play a little bit online because there's not a lot to play here, and I'm terrible on Octagon. I'm just like not good as I'm much better in real life player than I am on Octagon for whatever reason. If it has to do with playing with cards or actual live opponent interaction, I don't know. But so I don't really feel like that strong of a player at the start. At the start of the round, I had a bye from I won a couple store championships. I was sitting over there with the cool kids. They were talking about themselves or whatever. I was over there with Martin Presley and Gene Stealers. I know him from his Gene Stealers Twitch. I can't remember his name, but they're both pretty good players, and they're both very confident talking about how they're gonna win, and they have all that confidence, and I'm sitting here like, well, I'll be done at 5 probably. So yeah, I felt very lucky to make the cut. I had to really scramble to make. I think I came in at 15 out of 16
Right.
on the cut, but then I don't know, I just tore it up in the elimination. I didn't even get defeated, so I guess I was doing something right.
Yeah, you had some breaks in the elimination rounds, right? As you're waiting for other games to finish up.
Man, that's the worst part of that is, we played Netrunner for I don't know how many hours, and then there's like that hour and a half gap while you wait to find out who's going to make the top table, and I was just pacing the store, right, with nothing to do and nervous, and cooling off and getting cold. Right? You feel like I was just on a tear. I just had like won some crazy games. I triple scorched Noah for the win. That was so exciting, and then I had to just wait and wait and wait.
It's funny you say that because Noah actually, it was killing me in elimination rounds. He kept playing Netrunner with random people in the store between games of tournament Netrunner, and I thought that was crazy. I was just like, I can't do that. I can't play more Netrunner, and I kept making fun of it. He's like, I gotta stay warm. And it worked out okay for him because he did make it quite far into the elimination. I guess until you scorched him to death, but
I kicked him out of the top, back down to he made top 4 for sure. So, yeah, that was a good game. Noah's game was a good game. There was all of the elimination games were just amazing. So the competition there was so good. Like, I was lucky to get into the cut, but I feel like I played well once I did. So,
well, yeah, you did it. So, is there anything else you want to talk about before we finish this up? I don't know. I know that's not like as an interview or whatever. You're not supposed to say that, but I'm not good at this. So.
Oh no, I don't know what to expect. This is fun talking about Netrunner stuff. I thought that the place was really cool. The store up there, Andre was super awesome running the whole thing, and Eric the judge, of Kraken fandom, did a great job. So I was really impressed just with all the quality of the players that were there. A lot of strong competition. So to win at that event, I guess, is just kind of still amazing to me because of how outclassed I honestly felt. So yeah, good job, San Francisco, representing some quality Netrunner.
Yeah, the top 16 was every player there, I was just like, yep, that makes sense. Like, all of them were so good. There's so many other players that barely didn't get in that are also super good players in the area. So you definitely had a lot of great competition there. So I guess the big question now, are you going to Gen Con?
Yeah, I had not been planning on it, but my wife's like, well, now you should go. So I'm going to take a look at it. We'll see. It would be a lot of fun. I got to go get my alternate art noise because I told you I used to play just pretty much noise for when I first started. So
and
gotta have one of those.
Maybe to get your noise, but also maybe win nationals.
Let's not set the bar too high. My goal for the regionals was to make the cut, and that was for me a high goal based on, like I said, I watch your channel. I've pretty much watched all your Games of Berkeley stuff, and I felt like the competition was going to be really, really strong up there with 80 people for sure. So not only was I super excited to make the cut, but then I was super excited to get a playmat, but then I was super excited to get an Andromeda, but then I was, holy crap, how did I even manage to win? So that was just kind of escalating levels of unbelievable amazeness.
Can't even talk anymore now.
Throughout I can't wait for you to post that last game, the one game you got of me playing, because I was literally in zombie mode by that time. I don't remember what I was doing or how lucky I got to win. I was just, kind of
That was a
going through
really
the
good game too. That was a very close game. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing. Unfortunately, I didn't get any of your other games on film. I just randomly was kind of picking. I think my strategy at that point was just take the top table and ask them if they want to be filmed. And when I asked you, I think Noah was sick of me
Noah
bugging him about
did
being
not,
filmed. So
he did not want to get triple scorched on video, which
well,
was
maybe yeah, maybe he knew what was coming. No, he had enough of me at that point, which was
That
fair
is-
enough. So
that
unfortunately, I
was
didn't get that game, but
that was a good game too. That was great because I think he saw the scorch and was being super careful. And I put out a breaking news and advanced it once, and he was sure that it was NAPD, and he knew I had a zillion dollars in mid seasons, so he didn't go for it. And the next turn, I had a scored Astro. I used the token on the breaking news and triple scorched him with the tags. So it was a good finish. Like he did not see it coming. He was suitably impressed. He thought that was a good play, which it was fun. So I don't think I got to cracking him at all that game because
Oh.
I was the corp, not the runner. So
right in
he
double
was
elim, you
yeah
only play one
yeah
of the games.
exactly. But yeah, no, there were some great games. I played I can't remember now, a Jinteki RP deck that was super solid, and he probably should have had me, but I think he miscounted my data suckers, and I had by the time I got through his HQ and I ran the remote. He had 2 unresed Wall of Thorns, and I was at 10 data suckers exactly to make it through. So if he had, I don't know, made a different play, it could be a whole different game. So it's all of those little squeaky moments that I just squeaked my way through to the final table. And I guess that's how it's Netrunner. It's a card game. I guess that's going to be how every winner feels. But I certainly feel like, yeah, it was some skill and a good dose of luck. So.
No, I think that summarizes the game right there. But I mean, you do make your own luck ultimately. You know, I think
That's a great point.
hear a lot of people at these tournaments, you know, say, "Oh, I got bad luck and this and that." But honestly, the players that I see make the top, you know, cut in all these types of tournaments, even smaller tournaments, it's always the same players, and they have the same luck as everybody else, and they just kind of make the best of it and roll with the punches. And I think that's what you did. So
Yeah.
I want to end it here. Thanks for joining me on this interview conversation thing.
It was a lot of fun to talk about. I had a blast at that event, obviously. So it was really good.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier, but definitely want to thank the store and Andre especially for running the whole event. They did a really good job. It was totally chaotic, but they managed it very well. So that is definitely worth mentioning again.
I really appreciated the fact they went to all that trouble to squeeze more and more of us in. So, because did you expect 90 people to want to play Netrunner?
I hope, and I keep saying it, in 1 year, I want this to be bigger than Magic.
It's gonna. I mean, it is definitely just growing and growing like crazy, and I think rightly so. I think FFG. I mean, a lot of people complain about some of the tournament decisions of how to calculate things and stuff and things, but they're definitely trying to always make changes for the better, and the game is just phenomenal. So I'm surprised it's not even more popular. I guess
Oh, we'll get there. We'll
I
get
think we will. Yeah,
Yeah,
I keep
for
trying to recruit people. I recruited Kyle, my little 2-man meta. So
Maybe
we're
in a
gonna
year
we're gonna
we'll
grow
have a
it.
3 or 4 man meta down there.
Exactly.
Little growth, little steps, All right, thanks a lot, John.
Thanks a lot,
and
Brian.
I hope we see you again up here in the Bay Area for some plugged in or regionals in the future.
I will definitely have to come back. It was great.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks.